Hello and welcome to Money in Motion video blog. This is Dan Perkins and thanks for watching. Well, it's been an interesting ride in the first 3 days and the last part of December. Markets around the world are trying to figure out where they want to go. Looks like they mostly want to go down. We crossed 17,000 yesterday. This is being recorded on Wednesday prior to the market open. Market looks like it's going to be down around 300, at least on the opening. And in the past, we have taken it to 16,000 and several times come back to test to see if that was a support level. This market has a lot of momentum going forward or against us at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't go down and test that 16,000 level. Will we go through that? A lot of that depends on things that are really out of our control. If things continue to unwind in China and in the Far East, it'll put pressure on the American and European markets. I think it's important to understand, however, that if you make a decision to sell here, and I'm not selling here, we've got a situation where we could find ourselves in a very difficult position. And let me explain that. I did a blog on the Federal Reserve raising rates and raising it 1/4%. I said that Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve decided that they needed to have more weapons, more money, more ammo in their guns if in fact the economy turned south. They're doing that, or the logic for doing that was because they wanted to avoid to go into negative interest rates. Now, we see negative interest rates on European debt, government debt, out to 5 years of maturity and extending. The Fed needs as much ammunition if they need to restart this economy sometime in 2016. It's interesting that the market has done nothing but gone down since the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, and as a result made money a little bit more expensive. I personally think that was a wrong move. I understand why Janet Yellen did it. She needed more ammunition so she could bring it down if the economy got into trouble. My concern is that the weight of 94.5 million people out of work, the slowdown in many sectors of the economy is going to put more people unemployed, and the Fed right now only has 50 basis points to work with. So I think that if this economy turns south, which it could possibly do in the second half of 2016, the Federal Reserve doesn't have a lot of ammunition. And we could be joining the rest of the world in having to pay the government to lend them the money, negative interest rate. So the things that we own that are paying dividends and interest are becoming more and more valuable. Market doesn't see that yet, but if the Fed makes a move, they will become much more valuable. We don't really want to sell no matter what the price is, and I don't mean to be facetious by that, because if I sell an asset that's producing a dividend at 5 or 6% or 7% for you, and I put it in cash earning zero, how do I make up the money that you were living off of if I don't make another investment? And that's the problem. If you go into a market and sell today, the biggest challenge is, what are you going to buy? Are you going to stay in cash? The longer you stay in cash, the more the pressure will build on you to begin to liquidate your cash to pay your bills. That's a death spiral, and I would like to do everything possible to avoid that. It may mean that for some time we have to curb our expenses and make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck when we spend our money, but the cash flows that we're generating in your accounts are so far above Treasury rates and bank rates that to give them up because we're concerned about downside, I think is a crazy, I'm sorry for saying the word, but I think it's a crazy decision. I understand the pressure. We've been there before. Those of you who are longtime customers going back into the 80s, we know what happened in 87. We know what happened in the turn of the century in 2007 and 2008, and we weathered that storm. I think one of the biggest things going for us this time around is that many of the accounts have the S&P short. It's done extremely well, not counting today. In the first 2 days of the 2 market days of the year, it's up almost 15%. How high it will go, I don't know. I think we have to watch for the 16,000 level and see what's happening in the markets. I do think that I have to say to you that I think a great deal of this decline in the global markets is a result of America's policy to walk away. The bomb that whether North Korea exploded or not, the markets are spooked by it. It now looks like Iran has been helping the North Korean nuclear program, and we're in a situation where ISIS is getting closer and closer with Iran. And so there's a tremendous amount of instability in the world. Terrible story reported yesterday in the Daily Mail about the hundreds of women who were assaulted in Cologne and Hamburg, Germany, by what appears to be foreign nationals in gangs. So things are really kind of in a turmoil. And the best decision, I think, in a case of this kind of turmoil, is to sit back, watch what happens, take our dividends and interest, and this too eventually will pass. And we are going to have a change in leadership in this country in 10 months. When the new president is elected, he or she will take office in January of 2017. And depending upon who's elected, this economy may recover and our markets may recover. I'm looking at this in comparison to previous history. I'm reminded of the last years of the Jimmy Carter administration, where we had the malaise in America. America's best days were over, and clearly what we're having again is a real depression in terms of emotion and feeling about what's going on in our country and what we feel as individuals. We need somebody to lift us up. Reagan did that in '81. I don't know if there's a candidate on the Republican or Democratic Party that can turn us around, but I certainly hope so. So I'm watching all the time. If I see an opportunity, I might spend some cash, but for now I'm kind of just sitting on the cash we have, waiting for perhaps a better opportunity to add to the portfolio. As always, should you have questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. This is Dan Perkins, and thanks so much for watching.